first thing we're going to touch on is how to build. What is this tool? What are you building?
So to build it, you need to build some relatively heavy infrastructure. And I can promise you require real engineers who knows how to build things that scale. So this is not the web developer your marketing team might have on your team. He will also be useful, but you need a little bit more than that. So first you need to build or find something to track all the data. That can, you cannot, I mean, there is also something in between here. Now we can try to explain the extreme where you build everything yourself, and then there is a kind of an in-between solution as well. But the first option is, well, you need to have a tracking. So you need to build a tool so you can track your website. You need to put a cookie on your, every time a user comes in. You need to ensure that cookie gets associated with the user as they sign up and do things. And so that's the first thing you need to do. Then additionally, you need to pass this data into a database. At Dreamdata, we use a tool called BigQuery, Google BigQuery, which is a data warehouse. There are other options out there, Amazon Redshift or Snowflake. That's probably the most common ones. You need to pass the data to that kind of data store for data analytics. Pass that data in. Similar, you need to extract the data from the CRM system, your marketing automation system, your support ticket system, your chat system, whatever you kind of have that has meaningful information here. So you extract that data, put it into the same database. So now you have all this raw data, and this is relatively raw. There's most likely duplicates. You have things coming in random order. So that's relatively raw. Then you need to start cleaning up the data, meaning remove duplicates, extract the data you need in a form that you can kind of use and where you can kind of join the data across all these sources. So you need to sit down and write that piece of work for all the tools you've done. That means you have to have an understanding of how Salesforce works, how Marketo, HubSpot, whatever tools you are using, how they work. Now you have that. Now you can join all the data across, right? At Dreamdata, we use primarily email address. That kind of works most cases, but could also be phone numbers, whatever unique identifiers that kind of applies across these systems. You need to join. You need to join these contacts, these companies together. Maybe there are information that is not linking. So maybe you have a contact in Salesforce and you have a contact in HubSpot that's the same person, but they have different titles. So now you need to make this business decision: what title should I trust? Should I trust Salesforce more than HubSpot? Similar with your accounts. Well, maybe the contact we had before was actually a lead in Salesforce, but he was in contact in HubSpot and associated to a company. What do you do now? And what if that company is in Salesforce, but should you join it? Should you not? What are you going to do here? Right? So now you need to make all those business decisions on those detailed level. How are you going to merge all this data together? You do that. You sit through, you kind of work through that, and then at the end, you have one table. This is all your contacts. This is all your contacts or companies. This is all the activities they've done. You can link activities with contacts and contacts with companies. This is the revenue, whether that's opportunities or MQLs. This is the time and point when they became an MQL. When you have that, now you can start talking about attribution. So then you start doing all the calculations. You come up with an algorithm that kind of fits your company. You build that, and then you have that data. And now you need to visualize it so that people can actually use it, right? So the marketing people probably would not prefer to go into a Redshift database and run SQL queries to get this understanding. So now you need to do that, but you also need to build a piece of infrastructure that actually continuously makes sure to build the models. Also looking historically, because what happens is when a user comes into your website, you set a cookie. That's great. You track him, la la la. And then suddenly that user identifies themselves. They say, hey, I'm actually Peter from, let's just say, Trustpilot. Well, now what happened in the past, you actually know is Peter. So now you need to go in and recalculate the model because actually the activity we had in the past, that's Peter. So you constantly have to build some infrastructure that rebuilds the model at a constant flow, so you get in both the historical data but also the new data and take the entire thing and encapsulate that. Now you need to visualize the data. And so now you need to have people who are experiencing, of course, visualizing data, but also have a little bit of kind of experience in how do you visualize attribution data, when can we kind of show it in a good way, and when what's maybe a less good way of kind of showing this data. Using some, I mean, here most people would not build something themselves the same way they wouldn't build a database. They will use like whatever, Looker, Tableau, Data Studio, whatever tool they kind of have already. And they will start building up dashboards that marketing can go in and relatively easily filter on whatever layer, right? But then quickly marketing will start asking, saying, hey, we would like to segment a little bit. We would like to understand how does all the companies in the software, computer software industry perform versus those in whatever, professional services or whatever, right? How do they perform against each other? Oh, now we need to get industry in. Oh, where did we get that from? Oh, okay. I think it's in Salesforce. I'll go back to Salesforce, find industry. Oh, but it's not always there. And sales also sets different type of categories in industries. Okay. We can also enrich this. Okay, let's go out and buy Clearbit, and then we'll enrich it. And the story continues, right? You end up kind of adding a lot of features. Some of it you can kind of get relatively free and get to kind of use, but you will end up building a lot of infrastructure to do some, what I think most people will call boring. I mean, now I'm an engineer, so I am excited about stuff like that, but but most people will probably find it a little bit boring to build all this up. And then at the end, you get to spend a little bit of time actually understanding the data and getting what you're looking for, the outcome, which campaigns worked. What activities? Should we hire more BDRs? Should we do more marketing? How did our product-led revenue, is that working? Is our free tool, free product working? And so on. Right? And even if you do the in-between kind of fix, which is start looking at a few infrastructure tools, so you can, there's a lot of ETL tools, so you don't have to build something that extracts the data from Salesforce. You buy Stitch data or similar tools, right? So you don't have to do that, right? The tracking tools, maybe you use a CDP, such as Segment, right? And so you don't have to do that. That's great. And I would definitely recommend to do that if you decide to go this route. So then you kind of helps you do a lot of the things. So you don't need a 10-man team, but you quickly need at least a few engineers for quite some time, depending on your complexity, right? And then it's a continuous effort because you need to invest in this every day, every year. It will never go away because commercial will add new systems. The systems will change. That's just given, and that's a good thing, I believe, but it will cost money.